Нови јасни пораки за Македонија и за Западниот Балкан стигнуваат и денеска одовде од Брисел од собирот на шефовите на европските дипломатии. Унијата останува посветена на регионот, но и регионот мора да покаже во пракса дека се залага за основните европски вредности, демократија, владење на правото, слободни медиуми. По Германија, Велика Британија, денеска и Холандија се приклучи во повиците до релевантните политички актери во Македонија дека треба да се почитува парламентарното мнозинство договорено меѓу СДСМ и партиите на албанците. Во изјава за 360 степени, холандскиот министер за надворешни работи Берт Кундерс побари намалување на тензиите и, како што ги нарече, вербалните агресии во земјава.
How do you see current political situation in Macedonia, and what is your assessment of the solution of the crisis?
Well, we are very concerned with the situation in Macedonia. The Netherlands is a great friend from your country. In the end, this has to be decided in Macedonia itself. But I think there has to be respect for the parliamentary majority. And I think it is important really to underline that this has to be done without any verbal aggression in the country. I think really this has to lead to a solution in Macedonia itself. We are very open to further opening up of Macedonia to Europe and to NATO, but this has to be settled, I think, in a peaceful manner.
Still ruling party Vumar Dupumanen pushes for new early elections in Macedonia.
Well, it's not for me to comment on each position of each individual party. I just say there is a parliamentary majority. It's up to the Macedonians to decide on this. But we are worried. There is a lot of verbal aggression in the country. I think this has to be resolved peacefully, and I would really call on all parties to do it in a peaceful and democratic manner. I think that's very important.
What are the options for us in terms of pressure? We saw, and the last time there was a big crisis, the Europeans got very involved. What are the options on the table for us?
Well, we are going to discuss it today, and I think it's important that we show unity as the European Union of the need for Macedonia to respect democratic principles, parliamentary majority, and the peaceful resolution of conflict.
I will not obviously give details of what one minister or the other has said, but I can tell you that in general terms, all the ministers were backing strongly the messages I've expressed in Skopje, by the way that I expressed in my meetings with the president, with all the political leaders, but also publicly, not only on behalf of the European Union, but also on behalf of NATO Secretary General, as you know. How worried I am, but I'm trying to learn to move beyond the worries and see the potential for solving institutional crisis, political crisis. I believe that what Skopje is facing today is still a political and institutional crisis. My main worry is that this turns into an interethnic crisis. And this has been the main message I've passed to those that have political responsibilities in the country. Don't play with fire. Don't turn this into an interethnic confrontation that would ruin the country and probably spread further beyond. I believe there are instruments. First of all, the wisdom of the president, and second, the capacity of the parliament to proceed, for instance, by electing a speaker, I imagine, or deblocking the situation so that this institutional and political crisis can be managed with the instruments that Skopje has, without interferences, but it's only normal that friends care about the state of play and the future of partners.
Могерини уште во Скопје порача дека не смее да се дозволи состојбата во Македонија да прерасне во меѓуетнички, но и геополитички конфликт, алудирајќи на можна инволвираност на Русија. Кон оваа теза, денеска се придодаде шефот на британската дипломатија Борис Џонсон. Еве ја неговата порака во врска со актуелната руска улога и односите на Западот со Москва.
Hi, good morning everybody. Let's be very clear, Russia is up to all sorts of no good. They are, I'm afraid, engaged in cyber warfare. They're engaged in undermining countries in the Western Balkans. You saw what happened in Montenegro, to say nothing of Russia's actions in Ukraine, which are, as everybody knows, completely unacceptable. So point number one is to get that message across to the Russians. They've got to change. They've got to show that they can be trusted again. And I think that's very, very important. But it's also important to stress that we are not in a new Cold War with Russia. Neither the UK nor our friends in the rest of the EU nor in Washington is there any appetite for a new Cold War. So it's vitally important that we try to engage with the Russians, we try to understand where they're coming from, and we try to shape their policies and help them onto a better path.
За наметнување на Русија на Балканот, но и за тоа како НАТО во овој момент на сериозна политичка криза ја перцепира Македонија, разговара со Алехандро Алвар Гонзалес, помошник на генералниот секретар на Алијансата за политички прашања и безбедносна политика. Тој е практично трет човек во хиерархијата на Алијансата, а разговорот со него денеска во седиштето на Алијансата во Брисел следува по минато неделната јасна порака од првиот човек на НАТО, Јенс Столтенберг, кој го повика председателот Ѓорѓи Иванов без одлагање и условување да му го даде мандатот на Зоран Заев. Sir, first of all, thank you for your participation in today's edition of 360 Degrees. May I ask you, is Macedonia, having in mind current circumstances and political events, becoming a risk, security risk for the region?
No, I don't think so. Anyhow, when emotions run high, I think it is the time when we have to ask the political leaders to shoulder their responsibility and avoid confrontation, avoid ethnical tension, promote dialogue, and look and work for the benefit of all the citizens. But to your question, I would answer that we do not think here that it is a risk for the region.
How do you see the situation solved? Do you have any idea on your mind in what way should the country move?
Well, I think the ideas are basic. When you're talking of a democracy, there is always a toolbox, and in the toolbox you will find two basic instruments. One of them is respect for the democratic process. The second is respect for the rule of law. In the case of your country, I would add one more, and this is the implementation, the full implementation of the Presino agreements. I could even say that these are the principles that NATO has been defending along the years, respect for democratic principles and procedures. This is therefore what NATO does, what we expect our partners to behave like, and these are the words that in a way or other were mentioned by the Secretary General of NATO a few days ago when referring to the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia.
In the past, NATO was very much engaged in the Balkans, in the region. Is the alliance still committed to the countries of the region, having in mind that there are still pending issues, let's say Kosovo and Serbia, Macedonia name issue with Greece?
There are pending issues, no doubt, but I also do think that there are good stories that we should tell. Some countries have reformed in a way that has taken them to be members of NATO or the European Union. There are other problems in some other places, it is true, but in any case, answering your question, we do follow very closely the situation on the Western Balkans. A proof of it is that the Secretary General of this organization went to Bosnia-Herzegovina and visited KFOR not so long ago. So we are in fact helping to implement some reforms in some of the countries. We are present. We believe it is an important region for the stability of Europe and the Euro-Atlantic region, and it is our project to be there as long as we are thought of any use by the citizens of the region.
Are you more assured of the future of the alliance of NATO after the latest statements that came from the new US administration? And do you think that NATO has its role to play in the future, that it's not only a tool, Cold War relic, as Russia said?
NATO has a 70-year-old history. In those 70 years, it has been an extremely successful organization based on a treaty that has as its main goal to defend, to ensure its defense and security in a democratic context. And as I said, it has been successful in doing so, and it has also been successful in adapting to different circumstances. And this is what we are doing right now. The challenges, the risks have changed along the years, and we are adapting right now to different situations. Terrorism in the south, to give you an example, or a more assertive Russia in the East. NATO is therefore an organization that is fulfilling its not only its commitments but its duties, which is useful for the security of the Euro-Atlantic region, that has been able to adapt, and therefore that has a place where it can stay, creating confidence and trust among among the countries that do conform it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Како овие јасни пораки ќе се преточат во евентуални други конкретни чекори на Европската Унија и НАТО? Можно ли е поробусно нивно присуство во Македонија ако кризата потрае? Одговорот ќе стигне во наредните денови и седмици, но едно е јасно. Алармот е вклучен и ЕУ и НАТО се во полна приправност. Од Брисел за 360 степени, Владимир Мирчески.